fellow Toastmasters. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. I wanted to speak to all of you today about a subject that we all know something about, light. My name is Michelle Holden. I'm an executive coach, and the information that I bring to you is usually directly from my clients. It's things that I hear over and over and over again, and it gets my wheels turning, and then I have to share that information with you. Bert and I talked earlier this week, and you are going to think when you hear parts of my speech that I collaborated somehow with Bert and with Kurt. I did not, but Bert and I did talk about the power of Toastmasters, and both of us are of the same mindset that when you come here and when you spend time with us and you made a decision to show up today, you absolutely should leave better than you arrived. That is my absolute thought about every Toastmaster meeting I attend. If I'm taking time out of my day, if you're taking time out of your day, we all ought to walk away being better than when we arrived. And my strong hope is that is exactly what happens at the end of this meeting today. Let there be light. Exterior light and interior light. That's interesting. Let me tell you where this conversation came from. Several weeks ago, I was coming home, and I hate when it gets dark early, but it had gotten dark early. And I noticed several people had Christmas lights on already. My thought is, wow, they're jumping the gun. We haven't even had Tommy Turkey yet, and these people have their houses lit up. Clearly, they cannot wait. But my next thought was, gosh, that's so beautiful. I wonder why lights make me so happy. I think lights make everybody happy. That's why people have little white twinkly lights all year long. Light brings happiness. And I want to talk about all different kinds of light, but most importantly, what we're going to finish up today is talking about your interior light. We've all seen this, the beautiful house all lit up. We've seen all kinds of candles actually during this season of light, and I want to talk about some of them. We've seen Christmas lights. Those are beautiful. How many of us get in our car and we just drive around different neighborhoods and go, oh, do you see that house? Oh, what do you like better, the colored lights or the white? We do this, right? We drive around houses. Sometimes we'll go to festival of Christmas lights. What about the people, I'm from New York City, who televise Rockefeller Center? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're getting ready to light the tree at Rockefeller Center, and everyone goes, oh, and there's these gasps. Well, we saw it lit last year. We saw it lit the year before. Why are we gasping? Are we surprised that it lit? No. But you know, there's something about light that makes us all, I don't know, lower our shoulders for a minute. What about Hanukkah lights? Kwanzaa lights? My neighbors celebrate Diwali, the festival of lights. And for any of you that are Indian that are on the call, what a beautiful festival that is. How about fireworks? July 4th, we pack the kids in the car, our friends in the car. We go to where we think we can get the best view of the fireworks. Then we get some sound attached. Boom! Oh! And we all get so excited looking at them. This last one, there are some of you on this call who will hear this conversation for the first time today. What about our interior light? What about that light? How do I turn that one on? Has it grown dim? It's a good question. Let's ask ourselves why we're drawn to light. I think it's just something with human nature. We're drawn to it. And for those of you that say, well, I don't know about that, Michelle, maybe this is your topic. I haven't really thought a lot about sunlight or light in general. You know what? You actually have. And I'm going to show you right now some of the ways that you've done it. How about a sunrise? If any of you have ever seen a beautiful sunrise or you've seen a picture of one, you go, wow, that's actually amazing. My son is great at taking pictures of sunrise. I can't believe he drags himself out of bed to do that early in the morning. I'm not really that early a morning person, but he does and he loves it. And without fail, every time he does this, he'll say, you know, I know this picture looks really great, but you had to be there in person. There was something, it's hard to describe how incredible it was. And I always say, I'll take your word for it. But there is a beauty in the sunrise. What about stars? This is more up my alley because it's nighttime. But I grew up in New York City, and I used to think I knew what stars look like. I'd look up and see 2 or 3. Oh my gosh, look, there's a star. It wasn't hard to make a wish on a star. There was usually only one of them, that one. Then I would go away somewhere and I would look up and see gajillions of stars. That's when you start making up words, a gajillion. I'm not really sure for all of you math people out there if that's a word, but you would see something looked more like this. And it was so almost overwhelming and majestic. And it makes you realize how big the world is and sometimes how small our problems are. But we look at these lights, and especially this time of the year, we talk about a star bringing 3 wise men to Bethlehem. A lot of times in the business world, you'll hear people say, well, we need to find your true north. Your North Star is what they're talking about. But this kind of beauty, yes, we can all recognize that this kind of light is gorgeous. How about some of you who have gone to see the Aurora Borealis? This kind of light is super interesting to me because you say, why? Why do we get purple and green? What's going on there? Well, it's just the way light is refracted, and sometimes you get more oxygen or nitrogen, and I'm not a chemist, but each one of those elements produces a different kind of color. We can all recognize that this is amazing. We can't create it. But now I want to start to get into something a little deeper. Why does light matter? Well, it starts our day. Even if you wake up before the sun comes up, maybe you're a shift worker or you just get up that early in the morning and it's dark. Do you fumble around all day until the sun comes up? No. You walk into the bathroom, you walk into the kitchen, you walk into your bedroom, you turn the light on. You don't want to stumble and fall. You want to be productive. You can't do anything in the dark. So we start our day with light. One of the ways that we punctuate our day is we turn the lights off at the end of the day, but we start with light. I want to talk, and don't worry, we're not going to get too much into a biology and physiology lesson here. I'm going to get to the good stuff in just a minute, but I want to make sure you understand the power of light. I did a tiny bit of research. The sole source of food on this planet is the generation for all living organisms. It's light. Our circadian clock, for anyone that doesn't know what that word is, I put it here. It's your internal process of sleeping and waking, and that can really mess with you if your circadian clock is off. You go to a doctor over something like that. It's all regulated according to light. Our vision, our sight, what I was just talking about, the spectrum of colors. Sunlight, light, controls the Earth's temperature. If there was no sunlight, we'd all be sitting in a glacier. It would be nothing but glass and ice around us. It's important for the regulation of body, for growth, for sleep, and for our biological clock. But let's take all that away for just a minute. I bet some of you today will leave your house. And you know what? You'll have traffic signals. Those are lights. Do you know that broadcasting, telephone calls, and computer network, it all runs on lights and signals? We need all of this. Now let's get to the light within. I tried to be equal here and put a picture of a man and a woman because we really don't think about light within us very often. But let's talk about maybe it might be easier to look at other people, because we certainly know when we see light in other people. I couldn't control myself. I had to put Mother Teresa in here. Come on. Who has more light around her than this woman who gave everything to everybody? This little tiny woman from Calcutta who changed the world. But what about in a more realistic dynamic, people in your family, friends, even a stranger that you see doing a random act of kindness? There's something about that makes you stop, or at least makes me stop and go, oh, that's so sweet. That's so kind. Sometimes we marvel at children because they do the most innocent things and we see this light around them. It's an aura, and it makes us want to be a better person. Sometimes I wonder if I'm drawn to other people because of their light. Stop and think about that. I want you all to think for just a minute. Who are people in your life that you really look forward to spending time with? And you'd be bummed if all of a sudden they said, oh, you know what, I can't come. Oh, I was looking forward to that. Why? What is it about that person? My guess is they're givers, because givers usually have light around them. Do we have our light turned up all the way? You know, it's interesting for us once in a while, and this is a great time of the year to do it. All times of the year are a good time to do it. But it's a good time to reflect on what are we showing the world? You see, we always think it's just about us. Who cares if I'm depressed? Who cares if I'm sad or I'm anxious or panicky or whatever my thing is? Who cares? I'm only affecting myself. That is not true. You think that the people around you don't notice your light or your lack of light? I just told you. Did you recognize the people around you? Well, why wouldn't they be looking at you? Of course they would be. We have an obligation. In fact, I think it's a moral obligation, an ethical obligation, not only to the people around us, but to ourselves to make sure our light internally is shining bright. And some of you might say, you're scaring me now, Michelle, because I'm not really sure how to turn that light up. All right, let's do a little something. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, and I'm not going to ask you to out yourself, but up here in your mind for just a minute, I want you to look at these 4 lights. These 4 lights are on a dimmer. The first one, I want to make sure I'm not blocking anyone here. Maybe you can see it better there, is 25%. That's nice. If you're having cocktails and a little party and people are coming to your house, maybe that's the perfect light. Then there's the 50% mark. Okay, it's looking a little bit brighter. I can probably read something. Then 75% and 100%. Now, I will tell you that most of the major lights in my house are on a dimmer. It's the first thing that I do when I move into a house, because I don't always want to be sitting under a 100-watt bulb. Sometimes I'm the mood master. I want to walk around and change the lighting in the house. So I'm not telling you that externally, it's not nice to sometimes have a dim light. Believe me, when you come to my house, it's going to be cozy. It's not always bright lights in every single room. But when I'm talking about myself, if that light isn't fully on all the time, I'm going to sit and question myself. I'm going to analyze things. What's going on in my life? Why am I not feeling that energy or that light? What do I need to do to get it back? Most of you on this call probably know me, and I'm going to guess that most of you say, she's a high energy person. And thank you for that, because I think it's a gift of the Holy Spirit, and I really treasure that gift. But I want to tell you, and this always surprises people, I do not wake up this way every single morning. Oh, today is a wonderful day and the birds are chirping. No, some days I wake up and I'm nervous or anxious because there's a large expectation at a corporation of me. And I think, I hope I don't let anyone down. Sometimes, maybe last night, I got a call that one of my children said, oh, I'm really sick. I have the flu. Oh, that always upsets me. There are things that upset me, but you know what? I'm in charge of me, and I'm in charge of my mind, and I'm in charge of my heart. And it's my obligation on a daily basis to check where my light is. And I want you to start thinking about that. If you've never thought about that before, why would you walk around sort of curmudgeon-y and hoping for the best, another day? What kind of way is that to go through life? Here's a tough question. I get this a lot. How do I turn the light back on in my life? Is it ever too late? Is there a time that, oh, that ship has sailed? I'm sorry, you're just stuck being sad and miserable. No, this is crazy. I want everyone to know that's on this call right now, even if you're a sad person by nature, we're not all born the same way. You don't need to stay stuck like that. But my guess is that you don't know how to work out of it. And that's why you stay there. You think, if only. And there might even be part of you that's hoping one of those other people that we described earlier that has light around them, one of those people that you gravitate to, they can help you. You know, if I hang out with that person, I find I'm a little happier. I'm a little perkier. I think better thoughts. Well, we're going to get to that, because that is something that is a hint. How do I do this? Give me some rules, Michelle. Give me something that I can take away today. And I want all of the TLI and all pathways, because that's what we're here for. But if I could walk away with a little something, a little something extra, well, that would be great too. I would like to apologize if this is politically incorrect, but the truth is I'm not sorry. This is where you're going to think that Kurt and I spoke, because I talk all the time about the 3-legged stool. And just like he was talking about, and Kurt, I loved what you said, the 3-legged stool. What is it? Well, Toastmasters is about speaking. Well, you can speak and be terrible. You've got to get some evaluations so you can get better. And how do we practice that? Well, there should be a structured something, and that's called pathways. That 3-legged stool is very much the stool that I'm going to borrow right now. Mind, body, spirit. Now, if anyone has ever seen a 3-legged stool, you saw off one of those, even an inch or two, ooh, you're not going to be able to sit on that stool. It's going to be very wobbly. In fact, if you took one of the legs off, it's going to absolutely fall down. And that's why mind, body, spirit is so important. Mind, right now you're doing something for your mind. You're listening to me, you're listening to Kurt, you're listening to all of the wonderful things about Toastmasters and how we get better. You're actually committed to doing something for your mind. Guess what? Toastmasters does not need to be your only club. Maybe you're also interested in learning a language. Maybe you've always secretly wanted to learn how to knit. Not me, it's too frustrating. You should see what that looks like when I get going. Someone invited me to a knitting party one time. It was the last time I got invited. But maybe you want to learn to cook or explore some skill, woodworking. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't only have to be Toastmasters. There's many ways we can grow our mind. What about our body? I'm not saying you have to be a health nut, but you do have to get that body moving. Even people who are in cardiac units who have just had surgery, you know what the nurses say right away? Time to get up, let's walk around the hall. And people always feel fragile. No, I can't. My body is very fragile. Guess what? Your body's not fragile. Get up and move it. And maybe at the beginning, you can only move a little bit, over a little bit, over a little bit. Guess what? Exponentially, it all adds up. Maybe one day, 6 months from now, you're walking at a pretty brisk pace for a mile. Do what you can. I'm not saying don't eat a little bit of junk here and there. Last night, I had one of those fantastic crumble cookies that my son happened to leave behind. Poor him, he got home, there was about this much left. I couldn't bear to finish that last bite in case he wanted it, but I ate 3/4 of it. But it's okay, because before that, I had had a spinach salad and salmon. Balance your life out a little bit. And now I want to get to the spiritual part. How can I not? It's Christmas season, but also for whatever other religion is on this call and for whatever else you celebrate. I don't care what your higher being is, but baby, the buck does not stop with you. You are not the be all end all. There is a higher form. And until you tap into that and you recognize that this whole world isn't by accident, you can't find true joy. Personally, I believe that the joy that you find, the hope that you find, it's a gift of the Holy Spirit. But here's the good news. No matter what your religion is, just ask for it. This is the most easygoing guy in the world. All you have to do is say, I'd like a little more joy in my life. Can you show me how to be more hopeful? And I promise you, it's coming your way. If you can't figure this mind, body, spirit thing out, no big deal. Call a coach who can help you. Make sure you get the right person. All right, now we're going to get down to some business about your life. Not my life, not the person next to you on the call, your life. If you need to take notes, go ahead. We're going to take inventory of your life. Here are some of the things that I want you to think about. Do your friends in general support you? Whether you have 1 friend, 2 friends, 10 friends, do your friends support you? That doesn't mean all day long they have to be saying, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? It just means that is there a healthy balance? You see, in friendships, it's a very symbiotic relationship. Sometimes you need something and I'm here for you. It's my day to listen. But some days I need something and it's your turn to listen and advise. Do we have healthy balance in our relationships? Are you surrounding yourself with people who are full of joy? Now, I'm not talking about holy rollers and they're walking around humming all day long. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, in general, are the people that you're hanging out with kind of perky, happy people? If they're not, we need to incorporate some new people in your life. You'll notice the next thing I'm coming up with is, do you have ambitious goals? Did you see how I didn't just say, do you have goals? I could have said that. Why did I need to throw in the word ambitious? Here's why. Because your goals should scare you. They should be stretch goals. They should be things that you think, I don't know if I can even do this. I don't know what I was thinking. I might have bit off more than I can chew. Those are the kind of goals I'm talking about. You know why? Oh, that's right. They give you a pulse. When you have goals, and if yours are just like meandering along, you might want to sit down and give yourself a good swift kick in the pants and think, I don't know if I'm living large enough. When you live large, you start to get some energy. You start to get excitement. The adrenaline starts getting flowing. This is what I'm talking about. Do you have ambitious goals? And then lastly, when was the last time you actually took inventory of your life? I do this on a fairly regular basis, maybe a little bit daily and weekly, but certainly a couple of times a year. I sit down and I think, what were my goals this year? How am I doing? Are they still my goals? Have I already accomplished them? And if I have, is it like, okay, well, it's April, I'm done. No, I might say, wow, I did that a little bit faster than I thought. Guess what? Time for a new goal. That's exciting. Maybe I'll take myself to Starbucks and I'll find a little tree and sit outside and sip on a chai tea latte and think about what I want my next goal to be. Get excited about your life. It's yours. It's the only one you're getting. Look at this picture and say, which one of these describes the bulk of the people I'm hanging around with? Everyone doesn't have to be laughing and smiling all the time, but is this in general the type of people I'm hanging out with? Or is it this poor guy on the bottom? Eyebrows furrowed, scowling. Sometimes you can't help it because those are the people that live under your roof. I get it. I get it. But they can't be the only people you hang out with because birds of a feather flock together. I'll never forget my dad, real New Yorker, very sophisticated, elegant man, super businessman, but man, he shot from the hip and he told you exactly what it was. And I remember a few times there were people that I didn't really love hanging out with, but I was going out with them anyway. And my dad would say, let me tell you something. He had a cigar. Let me tell you something, sweetie. You hang out with garbage long enough, you start to stink. Wow, I never forgot that. And I thought, I don't want to stink. I don't want to hang out with people like this. I don't want this to be the way people look at me. If you're hanging out with people who are bringing you down all the time, it's time to incorporate, guess what? Maybe some new clubs, some new organizations, some new interests. Sometimes you say, well, I'm older now. I mean, it was easier when my kids were young. I mean, I would meet their friends and their parents at a baseball game or at school. But, Michelle, my life is very quiet right now. Guess what? I get it. I get it because my neighborhood, I could not tell you too much about any one of my neighbors, which isn't a big shock to me because coming from New York, you don't really know your neighbors anyway. Hi, in the elevator. I think I recognize that person, but that's about as far as it goes. And sadly, that is the situation that I am in my neighborhood right now. I don't see people. I feel like they're hiding in their house. I just never see people out and about. Once in a while when I'm walking, I give a wave to somebody who's doing their gardening, but I don't really know these people. I don't know their names. In that instance, I have to say, well, my circle of friends is not going to come from the neighborhood. And it's not going to come from my children. And it's not going to come from my work associations, because most of those are one-offs that I do for companies. Where will these people come from? Well, I'm going to have to start tapping into what are my interests? What are my desires? What do I want to grow in myself? What attracts me? What's interesting? And maybe I go to a meetup and I look for clubs and organizations and interests like this one, like Toastmasters, that's filled with incredible people. And I start to align myself with people that are like me and have similar interests. Guess what? I just widened my circle. Here's how you do this. I'm always about the practical. I don't like people to leave and go, that was a nice fluff conversation. I don't really know what to do with it, but it was a nice conversation. No. We're not getting away that easily. We're going to make some decisions here. And you don't have to do them today, but you do have to start thinking about them today. We're at the beginning of December, and most people like to do things generally in the start of the new year. So whether it's January 1st, January 7th, make a commitment to some SMART goals. And that means you're going to need a calendar, because we don't just come up with some things. Otherwise, they're just dreams and we don't do anything about them. I like SMART goals. They're specific. They're measurable. They're attainable. What good is a goal if you can never attain it? I'd like to play for the NBA. Okay, Michelle, you're 5'9" and you've never lifted a basketball. You're not going to play for the NBA. If you're 7'5", you're 18 years old and you're practicing 6 hours a day, guess what? You might have shot. But your goals should be attainable. They've got to be relevant to your life. You have to be able to do something with this goal, and they have to have a time attached to them. I can't stress this enough. Otherwise, it's a daydream. For me, last year, I said, or 2 years ago, I think it was, at New Year's, I said, I want to become a distinguished Toastmaster. That's a very specific goal. Is it measurable? Absolutely. All I had to do is what Kurt just said and work my way through pathways and know what my projects were. Is it attainable? Yes, a lot of hard work, but yes, it's going to be attainable. Is it relevant to my life? You betcha. I do a lot of talking in my personal life and my professional life, and I love Toastmasters. That is 100% relevant to what I do. And is it time-based? Yes, I wanted to move along. And it's funny because when you start timing things, it's amazing how realistic your daydreams become. When I started looking at the number of speeches that were required, let's pretend the number was 30 speeches. I needed to give 30 more speeches. Oof. Well, gosh, if I want that to happen, there's 12 months in a year. There are some holidays built in there. My club meets every week. All I had to do was divide 4 weeks by 30, take out a couple of holidays and say, my God, I need to be speaking every week. Do you see how something that was a little daydream all of a sudden became an actionable item? And I knew what I had to start doing right now. I had to get busy about that goal. That's a SMART goal. The next thing is, I know some of you on this call, all right, 99% of you hate change. You know why I know that? Because I coach people all the time, and people do not like change. They change for 2 reasons. And anyone that knows me knows I have said this before. You change because you are currently in pain or you perceive pain coming. It's the only 2 reasons why people change anything. We're creatures of comfort. In fact, there's a new thing out there, seek discomfort, and that's not actually a bad idea. But if you never commit to changing anything, nothing will change. Let's pretend a few slides ago, you're thinking, boy, is she on? My light's at 25 to 50% there, but I am nowhere near 75 or 100% turned on. I don't know what message I give to people, but I'm guessing that I might look like a dim bulb that's about to go out. And one of the reasons why is because we have a spirit of scarcity. There's only so much light. I'll just hold on to this little bit. Forget it. Turn the bulb up. You probably have a whole pack of bulbs underneath that you can replace it with. But you can't have more light in your life. You can't have more joy in your life if you keep your life exactly the way it is today. It's not going to happen. Some change has to occur. Look at this picture right here. Do you want to be this final butterfly at the end that's ready to fly away? You've got to commit to some changes. And you know what? Change takes work. And then we might have to admit, I hate the word lazy. Am I lazy? Maybe. You could start the rest of your life today. I don't care if you're on this call and you're 25 or you're 85. No excuses. My mother is 87. Her sister is 91. Her brother is 90. The 3 of them look fantastic. And I'm telling you, half the time I can't get hold of them when I call. Oh, I'm in a photography club. I'm in a bowling club. Oh, I'm hosting some women for a group at church. These people are active and they're busy. Don't talk to me about your age and how that is a stumbling block. Excuses be gone. Done. If you want hope in your life, if you want joy in your life, if you want fulfillment, start experiencing abundancy. Assume it's out there and it's waiting for you. Assume it, grab it, take it. Find out who you need to help you get more of it. Can you imagine? Go ahead, just picture your life for a minute, a new life. I want you to dare to dream. And then, of course, those dreams have to turn into SMART goals. I used to think that this was an F. Scott Fitzgerald quote, but I found out it's from Eric Roth, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. And here it is. And this message is for you today. I hope you live a life you're proud of. If you find that you're not, I hope you have the courage to start all over again. Why not? Just turn the page. Here's my final thought to you. Today, did I say anything that resonated with you? As you're looking at Christmas lights and you're driving around, I hope you will be triggered to think about your interior light. What's my volume? Do I need to turn it up? And if I do need to turn it up and I don't know how to, can I reach out to somebody? Go live your best life.